Welcome to the deep dive. Today, well, we're embarking on a pretty extraordinary journey, actually. One that humanity has really pondered for millennia.
Yeah, the big questions, right?
Exactly. We're talking about the very nature of who we are, the reality we perceive around us, and that profound concept of the divine.
And these aren't just, abstract ideas floating around.
No, not at all. These are the foundational inquiries that really shape how we navigate our lives, how we connect with others, and, well, ultimately, how we find our sense of purpose and meaning.
It's deep stuff.
It is. So our mission in this deep dive is essentially to cut through this huge ocean of information. We want to distill some genuine wisdom from a truly diverse stack of sources.
A real mix.
A real mix, yeah. We've gathered everything from, revered ancient scriptures and philosophical treatises that have literally shaped civilizations to some intensely personal reflections from seekers throughout history. Think of this as maybe your shortcut, your curated path to becoming genuinely well-informed on this universal quest for understanding.
A map through the forest, maybe?
Kind of. We're here to extract those really important nuggets of knowledge and insight. The kind that don't just inform you, but, spark those aha moments that shift your perspective.
And what's really fascinating as we lay out this tapestry of thought for you is that while these sources, they span vastly different cultures, eras, even continents.
Right, from the Bhagavad Gita to modern guides.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They consistently reveal some, truly surprising common threads, things you wouldn't expect.
But they're not all the same.
Oh, definitely not. They also offer wonderfully unique and sometimes, challenging perspectives on how we perceive the world and our own intricate place within it.
So it's not just about learning facts.
No, this deep dive isn't merely about accumulating facts or, ticking off a reading list. It's really an active invitation for you listening to consider what these insights, ancient and modern, truly mean for your own understanding.
To your own spirituality.
Exactly. For a balanced, integrated, and personally resonant spirituality in your life, it's about recognizing how traditions that might seem totally separate on the surface often arrive at complementary, if not sometimes identical, conclusions about the deepest truths of existence.
The veils of perception, ego, illusion, and suffering.
Okay, so let's unpack this journey. Maybe we should start where many of us often begin, right? Grappling with something that influences us every single day.
Yeah.
The nature of our internal obstacles.
The stuff that gets in the way.
Yeah. Specifically, how much sway does our ego really hold over us? A Course in Miracles paints this remarkably vivid, almost cautionary picture.
It really does.
It describes the ego as constantly attacking, always on behalf of separation.
Yeah.
Its entire relentless goal seems to be autonomy, to be its own master, fiercely independent from any larger unity.
Wanting to be separate.
Precisely. And this is where it gets really compelling. The ego, the text says, is much more vigilant than you are in pursuing this purpose. It's working overtime, subtly.
Always on guard.
Right. And the ego's clever claim, its way of getting your allegiance, is that it gives you power. It makes you feel capable, in control.
The illusion of control.
Exactly, because then comes the profound counter. By accepting the ego's power, A Course in Miracles warns, you are actually belittling yourself and depriving yourself of power.
Wow. That's quite a statement.
It really is. It's powerful and, quite subversive. So, how do these texts suggest we can even begin to recognize the ego's subtle deceptions, especially when it often feels like it is giving us strength or protecting us?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? It's the central paradox. The ego's greatest trick is making us believe its protection is empowerment when actually it's often a sophisticated form of self-sabotage.
How so?
Well, A Course in Miracles makes it pretty clear that the ego power is rooted in creating the very battles it then claims to help you win. It sets up the conflict. And building on that idea of internal struggle and subtle self-deception, the Untethered Soul offers a really complementary perspective. It vividly illustrates this kind of external manifestation of the ego's internal vigilance.
How does that look externally?
It suggests that our relentless attempts to shield ourselves from problems, by trying to arrange people, places, and things so they don't disturb us.
Trying to control everything.
Exactly. Paradoxically, that creates more problems. It traps us in this cycle, making life feel like a constant struggle, an unending threat.
That sounds exhausting.
It is. We end up with these ceaseless internal dialogues, these inner monologues, just trying to control or react to every little thing that happens around us.
So is the message here that These internal dialogues, they're not just annoying background noise. Are they fundamentally misdirecting us from what's real, from a deeper piece? Is that the core trap we fall into when the ego's running the show?
Absolutely, it really seems that way. It's almost as if we build these elaborate mental fortresses, right, to protect ourselves from the world.
But they end up imprisoning us instead. They cut us off from genuine experience, from connection. The core trap, as I understand it, yeah, it's mistaking control for security. We think if we can just manage every single variable, every person, every situation, we'll be safe. But as you rightly point out, this often just leads to more anxiety, more struggle.
It's counterproductive.
Totally. And speaking of what feels real and what doesn't, let's dig into the illusion of reality itself. The Fifth Agreement offers some truly fascinating insights here.
Oh, I like that one.
Yeah, it suggests that humans, we create our own symbology to communicate. Our words, our concepts, our cultural narratives, our interpretations of everything.
Stories we tell ourselves.
Exactly. But these symbols, in themselves, they're not inherently good or bad, right or wrong. We are the ones who assign those judgments, those dualistic labels.
We layer the meaning on.
Precisely. And the profound insight here is that the ultimate truth, it posits, is actually beyond belief. It exists in a world of perfection that encompasses everything. Even the stuff we label as negative, like anger, your drama, and your lies.
Wow, even the drama and lies.
Even those. It means even our perceived imperfections, our personal struggles, they're part of a larger, perfect, undeniable whole. What does this world of perfection really mean for our everyday understanding of truth, though? It sounds almost too simple.
Well, it is a truly profound reframing, isn't it? Because it challenges our fundamental assumptions about reality. When the Fifth Agreement talks about this world of perfection, including everything, it's not saying anger or drama are good or desirable.
Okay, right.
But rather that they simply are. They exist within the larger, impartial framework of existence. It's our judgment of them that causes our suffering.
The judgment is the key.
That's it. And Conversations with God echoes this so powerfully. It states, nothing is painful which you understand is not real.
If you understand it's not real.
Exactly. It then compares life to a movie, a drama played out on the stage of your mind. The real aha moment, the breakthrough, is realizing that much of our pain isn't some unchangeable fact of existence. It's a byproduct of our mistaken belief in the solidity, the absolute realness of our perceived reality. And understanding that offers an immediate path to liberation. If you truly grasp that something isn't real in the ultimate sense, its power to inflict suffering just dissipates.
It loses its grip.
Completely.
Right.
Similarly, Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance observes that everything's an analogy. Our understanding of truth, then, it's always mediated by these analogies, these symbols, these mental constructs we use.
So we never see truth directly.
Well, we're always interpreting, always framing, which means our reality is always maybe a layer removed from the ultimate truth. We see through analogies, but sometimes we mistake the analogy for the thing itself, forgetting its metaphorical nature.
We forget it's just a map.
Precisely. So when these sources talk about illusion, are they really telling us that our subjective experience, our entire world, is inherently flawed? Or is it just that our interpretation of it is often incomplete or biased?
That's an excellent distinction to make. Yet it seems less about an inherently flawed world and more about our often incomplete or, like you said, biased interpretation. The world simply is.
It just exists.
Right. But our minds layer it with meaning, judgment, emotional weight. It's those layers that create the sense of illusion, it seems. So if our internal obstacles are so potent and our perceived reality is potentially veiled by these illusions, well, it's perhaps no surprise that we often experience profound suffering and discontent.
It kind of follows, doesn't it?
It does. Think about Siddhartha's journey in Hermann Hesse's novel. He reaches this point in his spiritual quest where he reflects on his life, feeling it was worthless, so it seemed to him, worthless and pointless.
Such despair.
Totally. He experiences death in his heart and horror in his chest. And this is despite being content with small lustful pleasures and yet never satisfied.
That paradox again.
Exactly. It's this deep existential emptiness, this pervasive sense of dissatisfaction, even when surrounded by what should, by conventional standards, bring joy. This isn't just some character's journey, is it? It feels like the ultimate human paradox that many of us can relate to. That feeling of having everything but still missing something essential.
Oh, absolutely. It's incredibly relatable. Siddhartha's play perfectly captures that pervasive human experience of, the longing for something more, even when things seem comfortable on the surface.
Hmm.
And that resonates so deeply with the broader human condition described by other thinkers. Viktor Frankl, for instance, in Man's Search for Meaning, he touches on this deep sense of loss, this existential despair that humanity can experience, especially in extreme conditions where external circumstances offer zero solace.
Like in the concentration camps he wrote about.
Exactly. He observed that what often sustained people there wasn't comfort, obviously, but a reason to live, a meaning to be found even in the face of immense suffering.
Meaning as the anchor.
Right. Yet alongside this profound awareness of suffering, you have texts like Autobiography of a Yogi speaking to an unconquerable soul. It suggests that even in the darkest times, the human spirit retains this inherent capacity for something more, for transcending suffering.
A resilience within.
A resilience, yeah, a divine spark maybe that can never truly be extinguished. And then the Dhammapada just encapsulates this so succinctly, stating all sakkaras are suffering.
Sakkaras, what exactly does that mean for us?
Right. For our listeners, sakkaras basically refers to all conditioned phenomena, all composite things, all mental formations, everything that arises, changes, and eventually passes away.
So everything temporary.
Pretty much. And this isn't meant to be a pessimistic view, like life is just awful. It's more like a remarkably honest observation of the inherent impermanence and potential for dissatisfaction within the cycle of existence as we usually experience it.
Okay.
It's the profound insight that everything that is conditioned, everything with a beginning and an end, inevitably contains the seeds of suffering. And that realization kind of pushes us to look beyond the conditioned, beyond the temporary for lasting peace.
Glimpses of reality, oneness, and the divine.
Okay, so if that's the nature of our veiled perception, this world of ego and illusion that so often traps us, then the natural next step in our journey has to be what lies beyond the veil.
What's the reality behind the curtain?
Exactly. What are these diverse traditions revealing about ultimate reality itself, about the divine? How do we even begin to glimpse the true, unobstructed nature of existence?
Where do we start?
Let's start with the nature of the incomprehensible divine. The Bhagavad Gita describes Krishna as the supreme personality of Godhead, the ultimate abode, the purest, the absolute truth. That's pretty definitive.
Sounds like it.
It states that Krishna knows everything that has happened in the past, all that is happening in the present, and all things that are yet to come. Total knowledge.
Omniscient.
Right.
There's
Yet
more.
then comes this profound twist. Me, no one knows. So this suggests a divine presence that is all-knowing, all-encompassing, aware of all time and existence, yet fundamentally beyond finite human comprehension, beyond definition.
An ultimate mystery.
It's a paradox, isn't it? Infinite knowledge and ultimate mystery side by side. How do you interpret this idea that the divine knows all, yet remains unknowable to us?
Well, it's a really powerful and surprisingly consistent theme across many wisdom traditions. This idea of a divine that is simultaneously here, immanent, and also beyond transcendent.
Both at once.
Right. The unknowability often refers to the inability of our finite minds bound by concepts and language, to fully grasp the infinite. It's not really that the divine is hiding, but more that our current ways of perceiving are just, insufficient for its full apprehension. We don't have the right tools, maybe.
Our hardware isn't compatible?
Kind of. And the Quran, for example, beautifully glorifies the highest, who created and proportioned, who measured and guided. It emphasizes the eternal nature of God, stating, what is with you comes to an end. What is with God remains forever.
Highlighting impermanence versus permanence.
Exactly. The impermanence of all our worldly stuff and experiences compared to the everlasting nature of the divine. It also underscores God's absolute knowledge, noting that God sees full well what they do and knows what is proclaimed aloud and what is...
Sees everything, knows everything.
Yeah. This depicts a divine being that is both the meticulous creator of all order in the cosmos and, at the same time, the keeper of all secrets within the human heart. An ultimate reality that's simultaneously transcendent, observing everything from way up high, if you like, and immanent, intimately aware of our most hidden thoughts and intentions right down here.
That's quite a scope.
It is.
And building on this idea of an omnipresent yet elusive divine, the Upanishads offer this beautiful almost poetic description that just defies our usual understanding of space and time.
How so?
It says, "It moves, it does not move. It is far and near likewise. It is inside all this. It is outside all this."
Wow, that messes with your head a bit.
Doesn't it? It's describing something that explicitly defies linear logic and spatial limitations. It's everywhere and nowhere, simultaneously dynamic and utterly still.
Hard to picture.
Impossible, almost. And it also describes the divine as the God faces all directions. He was born of old and yet is in the womb. Born and to be born, he stands in front of people facing every way.
Ancient and new at the same time.
Exactly. This isn't just poetic imagery. It feels like a profound statement that the divine is both the ancient origin and the ever-new manifestation, present in every moment of creation and uncreation, defying our linear grasp of time and existence. It's an incredible image of an eternal now, a divine presence that is at once primordial and perpetually coming into being.
Yeah, that description perfectly sets the stage for understanding the profound principle of oneness, or non-duality, which is really a cornerstone of so many spiritual paths.
Oneness. Explain that a bit more.
Well, one of the most famous teachings comes in the Chandogya Upanishad, and it's highlighted in the perennial philosophy. It's the declaration. That which is the subtle essence, all that exists has itself. That is the true, that is the self, and thou, Svadakatu, art that.
Thou art that, tat tevam asi.
Exactly. That profound statement encapsulates the idea of Brahman, the ultimate impersonal, all-pervading reality, and Atman, the individual self or soul being fundamentally one and the same.
The drop is the ocean.
Beautifully put. To illustrate this, the text uses the analogy of dissolving salt in water. Once the salt dissolves, you can't see it anymore, right?
Right.
But you can taste its presence everywhere in the water. Similarly, the divine essence is omnipresent and ultimately unperceivable by our ordinary senses. Yet it is the very essence of everything, including ourselves. It's saying the deepest truth of your being is this universal, subtle essence.
That's huge. And here's where it gets really interesting for me, because the Upanishads expand on this. They say, whoever sees all beings in the self, Atman, and the self in all beings, does not shrink away from it.
Sees the connection everywhere.
Yes. This perspective isn't just an intellectual understanding. It's presented as a deeply transformative way of seeing and experiencing the world. When you realize this profound interconnectedness, the text asks, how can there be delusion or grief when he sees oneness?
Because the cause of grief is gone.
That seems to be the implication. It suggests that suffering, delusion, grief, they primarily arise from the illusion of separation, that mistaken belief that we are isolated entities just bouncing off each other. The recognition of unity, therefore, dissolves that delusion and grief. It ushers in a state of profound peace and acceptance.
Wow.
It's an invitation to experience reality from a fundamentally different standpoint, where everything is just part of an unbroken whole. What are the practical implications, though, for our daily lives, where we often perceive so much division?
Oh, the practical implications are immense, because it fundamentally shifts our motivation. It moves us away from just self-preservation of a separate ego.
Looking out for number one.
Right, towards a more universal love and compassion. If all beings are essentially one with your own deepest self, then harming another is, in a really profound sense, harming yourself.
Because there's no real other.
Exactly. And that idea of profound unity is articulated so beautifully in Theologia Germanica with its statement, all in one is one, and one in all is all, and one in all good, is loved through the one in one, and for the sake of the one.
That's dense. Break it down.
Okay, so it's not just about the unity of creation with the divine. It's about the unity of all good things within that divine essence. It's an affirmation that all existence is fundamentally good, and that this goodness is intricately intertwined, flowing from and returning to the singular perfect good.
A harmony of goodness.
Yeah, it speaks to a deep inherent harmony within the very fabric of reality, a radical sense of non-duality, where everything finds its ultimate source, its meaning, its purpose in the one.
So if we accept this view, this incomprehensible, unified divine principle, how do these traditions suggest this divine presence actually manifests? How does it show up in our world, in our everyday experience?
That's the next big question, isn't it? How does the infinite touch the finite?
Yeah. Different traditions seem to offer various glimpses and understandings. Theologia Germanica, for instance, states that where there is a Christian life, Christ dwelleth.
So it's an internal presence.
It implies that, that the divine isn't just distant and abstract, but actively, intimately present in the lived experience of faith, within the hearts and actions of individuals.
Embodied.
Kind of. Then in the complete gospel parallels, we find these descriptions of the Holy Spirit descending like a dove onto the Master, who is then called the Rest and First Begotten Son.
Powerful images.
Very powerful, symbolic images of divine presence, of spirit manifesting in a tangible, if maybe ephemeral way, marking a special connection, an anointing, a recognition of divine emanation in human form.
And William James, in his amazing work, The Varieties of Religious Experience, he investigates these kinds of manifestations not through theology or dogma, but through the lens of subjective human experience. What people actually report feeling. He speaks of a direct presence of the deity, a profound sense of higher control that people describe in mystical states.
The actual feeling of it.
Yes. He synthesizes these experiences into what he calls hypotheses, feelings of supremacy of the ideal, of vastness, of union, of safety, and of rest.
Safety and rest sound good.
Don't they?
Yeah.
These are the deeply felt experiential qualities of encountering the divine, not dry intellectual assertions, but lived moments. They point towards this universal yearning for connection, a feeling of being enveloped by something infinitely greater, something profoundly peaceful and secure.
Like coming home.
Exactly. It's often described just like that, the feeling of returning home, of finding ultimate repose and belonging in the vastness of existence.
And Plotinus, bringing in some philosophy from Aeneid, he adds a rich layer to this discussion. He talks about a kind of hierarchical emanation from the divine source.
Emanation, like ripples in a pond.
Sort of. He explores intellect and the good which we say comes to it, which provides something he calls light. For Plotinus, this good is the ultimate source, the one beyond even intellect itself, which is the realm of forms and ideas.
Okay.
The light he speaks of isn't just illumination like a light bulb. For Plotinus, it's the very essence that bestows form, order, and purpose. It essentially perfects everything it touches by bringing it closer to its divine source.
Like sunlight making plants grow.
That's a decent analogy. He describes how form is good for matter, soul is good for the body, and virtue is good for the soul. This hierarchical ascent of goodness, where each level provides light and purpose to the one below it. It implies a divine emanative process. Goodness and divine presence are infused throughout all levels of existence. Think of it like a single perfect light source, and all reality radiates out from it.
A cascade of light and goodness.
Exactly. Each step away from that source is still illuminated by it, reflecting its goodness, but in different, more manifest forms. A continuous cascading flow of creation and perfection, connecting everything back to the ultimate good.
The paths to connection, practice, love, and awareness.
Okay, so this brings us to the really crucial practical question, doesn't it? How do we as individuals actually connect with these glimpses of ultimate reality? How do we cultivate inner transformation in our own lives?
Yeah, how do we bridge that gap?
Many paths seem to lead towards this, and one significant one, often quite challenging, is the practice of renunciation and self-discipline.
Letting go.
Letting go. Theologia Germanica provides remarkably clear, almost unflinching guidance here. It advises that to truly attain what is best, one must forswear his own will.
Give up your own will. That sounds hard.
It does. It strongly states that nothing is contrary to God but sin only, and what sin is in kind and act is especially self-will.
So self-will is the main obstacle.
That's the implication. It highlights the profound spiritual insight that our personal will, when it operates separately from, or worse, in opposition to the divine will, is the deepest root of our spiritual obstacles and suffering.
Our ego wanting its own way again.
Exactly. It's about letting go of that egoic desire for absolute autonomy and control, that self-centeredness we talked about earlier, in favor of aligning with a greater divine flow.
Getting out of your own way.
Pretty much. And we see a really vivid, almost extreme example of this in the character of Siddhartha from Hesse's novel. His journey is marked by these profound, successive acts of renunciation.
What did he give up?
He renounced his home and his parents, renounced his birth and possessions, renounced his free will, renounced all friendship, all in pursuit of spiritual truth. He explicitly acknowledges this is what the teachings require.
Wow, he gave up everything.
Literally everything. It's a powerful, maybe daunting illustration of the willingness to shed everything familiar, comfortable, and self-serving in the relentless pursuit of deeper understanding and liberation. He gave up everything he had, everything he knew, hoping to find everything.
But it raises a question, doesn't it? Is this level of extreme renunciation the only path? Or are there maybe subtler forms of self-discipline that these texts advocate for?
That's a critical distinction to make, absolutely. While Siddhartha's path was, yeah, pretty radical, the Bhagavad Gita helps us understand a more nuanced, perhaps more internal form of renunciation, one that's arguably more universally applicable.
How does it define it?
It clarifies the concept of a renouncer, not as someone who just physically gives up worldly things.
Like becoming a monk.
Right, but as one who neither hates nor desires the fruits of his activities.
Ah, detachment from results.
Exactly. Such a person acts in the world, fulfills their duties, but does so without duality, without attachment to the outcomes, whether it's success or failure, praise or blame.
Engaged but not attached.
Perfectly put. They are engaged in action, but are internally detached from the results, living fully in the moment without being bound by hope or fear about what might happen. This internal detachment, the Gita suggests, is what allows them to become completely liberated.
Freedom on the inside.
Yes, achieving a state of inner freedom even while actively participating in the world. It's a liberation of spirit, not necessarily a withdrawal from society.
That seems more achievable for most people.
Maybe so. Now, beyond renunciation, another profoundly transformative avenue for connection and inner change is the practice of prayer and meditation.
Turning inward.
Turning inward. The way of a pilgrim is deeply inspiring here. It's founded on that command, pray without ceasing.
Constantly. How?
Well, the Pilgrim's Journey explores how consistent interior prayer, not just rote recitation, but a deep, heartfelt dialogue with the divine, coupled with seeking Christian piety from the teachings in the New Testament, can become an abundant spring for knowledge and true interior prayer.
The source within.
Yes. And the text beautifully describes this spiritual progression almost like a chain reaction. Silence gives birth to great feats of spiritual asceticism, which in turn give birth to tears. And tears give birth to fear, and fear to humility. Humility opens the eyes, and then love is born.
Wow, quite a sequence.
Yeah.
Silence to love.
It's a profound journey of internal transformation, isn't it? Where genuine spiritual discipline eventually blossoms into the highest form of connection. It's not about suppression, it seems, but about profound purification.
And that emphasis on deep interiority, and even the role of tears as a path to spiritual awakening, that's powerfully echoed in St. Teresa of Avila's interior castle.
She talks about tears, too.
She does. She describes how tears and longings, even if they sometimes arise partly from our nature, from emotional pain or release, can eventually lead one to God.
Even natural emotions can be a path.
Apparently so. But she stresses the crucial importance of humility throughout this process, and also the wisdom of seeking the advice of a learned confessor.
Getting guidance.
Exactly. Highlighting that while these intense experiences are often graces, gifts, they must be approached with discernment and guidance to ensure they truly lead to spiritual growth and not, spiritual delusion or ego tricks.
Grounding the experience.
Precisely. The internal experience, however profound, needs to be grounded and wisely guided to lead to true connection.
Okay, now for a completely different, yet equally profound flavor of meditative practice, the Tibetan Book of the Dead provides incredibly detailed, intricate instructions, particularly for navigating the bardo states between lives, but also for practices in this life.
What kind of practices?
It describes visualizing one's own body as the assembly of the peaceful and wrathful deities, and meditating on inner radiance.
Visualizing deities within oneself.
Yeah. The ultimate aim is to allow the mind to rest in its natural flow, clear, unconstricted, uncontrived, and relaxed, just letting it be.
Sounds peaceful.
It does. And this advanced practice, the text claims, can directly lead to Buddhahood, a state of complete enlightenment. It's a structured yet deeply internal and highly visual process, recognizing and merging with the divine and enlightened aspects that are believed to exist within oneself already.
Finding the Buddha within.
Essentially, yes. It's about a very direct experiential understanding of one's own innate Buddha nature.
And, bringing this into a more contemporary and maybe accessible context, Pema Chodron, in When Things Fall Apart, offers a profoundly practical take on meditation.
How does she frame it?
She presents it not as some rigid discipline aimed at achieving a perfect state of good meditator.
Like getting a gold star.
Right, none of that. But more as a way to make friends with our hopes and fears again and again, and simply to be more awake in our lives.
Making friends with hopes and fears, not getting rid of them.
Exactly. This shifts the focus from achieving some ideal external outcome to cultivating a continuous compassionate awareness of our internal landscape, whatever is happening inside. allowing us to engage with life's inevitable challenges with greater presence and equanimity.
Less reactivity.
Yes. It's about integrating the practice into the entirety of our lived experience, embracing our humanness rather than trying to transcend it immediately or pretend it's not there.
That feels gentler. Which leads perfectly into the cultivation of compassion and authentic power. Radical acceptance, for instance, advocates for developing compassion for ourselves as a crucial foundational step.
Self-compassion first.
Yes, as a way to heal guilt, grief, sorrow. It's about holding those hurting places with the unconditional tenderness of compassion rather than judging them or resisting them or pushing them away.
Being kind to your pain.
Exactly. The path of awakening, it suggests, is one of wakeful, profound relaxing, which means letting go into life exactly as it is. It's a gentle but incredibly powerful release of resistance, embracing our full, imperfect selves with kindness. Finding liberation not by fighting reality, but by accepting it completely. It really does feel like a radical approach to self-healing.
And expanding on that idea, Erich Fromm's The Art of Loving posits that the true ability to love others depends intrinsically on one's capacity to emerge from narcissism.
Getting beyond oneself.
Right, and developing a productive orientation toward the world and oneself. It emphasizes the development of rational faith.
Rational faith, what's that?
Not a blind acceptance of dogma, Fromm argues, but a deep conviction that emerges from our own lived experiences, from our own thoughts, our own feelings. It's a faith you build and test within yourself, rather than just adopting it from outside.
Faith based on experience.
Exactly.
Yeah.
True love, therefore, is portrayed as an act of mature self-transcendence. It requires internal strength, self-awareness, and a genuine connection to reality, rather than just projecting our own unmet needs onto others.
Love is a skill, almost.
In a way, yes. An art.
Then, the Seat of the Soul discusses how authentic power, as opposed to worldly power, is built up step by step, choice by choice.
Now,
by creating with the intentions of the soul forgiveness, humbleness, clarity, and love, making choices aligned with those qualities.
soul-aligned choices.
Right. And it also offers this intriguing idea that higher-ranking non-physical intelligences, guides or angels perhaps, assist us in evolving into love and light.
Spiritual health.
That's the suggestion, a collaborative process of spiritual growth where our inner choices align with a broader cosmic support system, gently guiding us toward our highest potential. It's a beautiful vision of conscious co-creation, isn't it? Where our individual spiritual efforts are part of a much larger benevolent evolutionary process.
That's a comforting thought.
It is. Now, let's zoom in specifically on the transformative power of love itself, starting with self-love as the fundamental, non-negotiable foundation for all other forms of love.
You got started at home.
Seems so. Conversations with God makes a very strong, maybe even radical statement here. If you cannot love yourself, you cannot love another. Full stop.
That's blunt.
It is. And it then issues this powerful warning against seeking self-love through others, which, it observes, often leads to people literally losing themselves in a relationship.
Trying to get love from outside.
Yeah. This emphasizes that self-worth must come from within. It cannot be externally validated or built upon another person's affection, no matter how intense that affection is. Without this internal foundation of self-acceptance and self-love, relationships can become this desperate attempt to fill an inner void.
Instead of a true partnership.
Exactly. Rather than a genuine sharing of two whole, complete beings. It's a powerful call to cultivate internal wholeness first.
So important.
It really is. And it completely reconfigures how we approach relationships, doesn't it? The Four Agreements provides very practical advice on how to actually cultivate that internal self-love.
What does it suggest?
It encourages us to use the word to share your love. Not just with others, but critically with ourselves, to actively tell yourself how wonderful you are, how great you are, and how much you love yourself.
Positive self-talk.
Consciously, yes. Using our internal dialogue and our external words, too, to break down those old self-deprecating agreements and narratives we've all internalized. It emphasizes the profound ability to say, I love you, to yourself and others without fear, and to make choices without guilt or self-judgment.
Freeing yourself.
Yeah, freeing us from that relentless need for external validation. It's truly about reclaiming our inner voice as a source of kindness and affirmation.
And returning to Theologia Dramatica, that deep wellspring of wisdom, it reiterates that the perfect good is known and loved for itself and as itself.
Loved for its own sake.
Yes. And he goes on to explain how true love and true light allow no I, me, mine, thou, thine, but only the one who is neither I nor thou.
Dissolving boundaries again.
Completely. It dissolves the very boundaries of ego and self-interest. Recognizing that ultimate love is not some transaction between separate entities, but a pure, unified embrace of the singular divine essence that permeates and connects everything.
Beyond personal love.
It's a love that transcends individual identity, moving beyond the personal to the universal, where all distinctions ultimately merge into the one.
And A Course in Miracles brings us back to a really core dichotomy that helps clarify our emotional landscape. It states that fear and love are the only emotions of which you are capable. Only two.
Just fear and love. That seems simple.
Well, it then clarifies. One is false, for it was made out of denial, and denial depends on the belief in what is denied for its own existence, meaning fear is the false one.
Fear depends on denying love.
That's the idea. The text argues that by correctly interpreting fear as merely masking love, by seeing it as an illusion built on the denial of love, you render fear useless.
Pulling back the curtain on fear.
Exactly. When you understand that the only real inherent emotion is love, and that fear is just a distorted projection, a misinterpretation of love's absence, its power over you simply vanishes.
Wow.
It's an invitation to pierce through the illusion of fear and recognize the ever-present truth of love as our fundamental reality. This is a profound insight that, if really grasped, offers immediate liberation from so much anxiety.
Living in the flow, impermanence, and purpose.
So we've talked about perception, reality, connection. What does all this actually mean for how we live day to day?
Right, the practical application.
Yeah.
How do we embrace the present moment and that pervasive reality of impermanence in a way that's not debilitating but actually empowering?
Living with change.
Living with change. Conversations with God makes an incredibly bold, really thought-provoking proclamation. The present moment is the only reality.
Only the now exists.
That's the claim. It then challenges our conventional linear understanding of time. It describes time not as a horizontal line stretching from past to future, but vertically, like leaves of paper on a spindle. All moments, all pasts, all futures exist simultaneously in this eternal moment of now.
Everything happening at once.
That's the mind-bending idea. It isn't just a poetic metaphor. It's presented as a radical reorientation of our entire perception of time, urging us to deeply inhabit the present, recognizing its singular and eternal significance.
It makes you really think about how much time we spend dwelling on what's gone or worrying about what's to come.
Instead of fully existing right here, right now.
Yeah. And Augustine's Confessions, written centuries ago, delves into a similar, though maybe more philosophical, contemplation of time. He wrestles with its elusive nature.
Where did he conclude?
He examines how present time, as we try to grasp it, seems to shrink, first to barely one day in length, then even further to a single hour, ultimately concluding that the past and future can exist only in thought.
They're mental constructs.
That's his point. This philosophical introspection highlights that what we often think of as concrete past or future are actually mental constructs, memories, or anticipations, whereas true reality is always unfolding in the now.
The only place life happens.
Right. It's a challenge to our very cognitive framework, inviting us to recognize that while planning and reflection have their place, the only true point of power and existence is this fleeting yet eternal moment.
This profound focus on the present moment inevitably leads us to another fundamental truth that many cultures, maybe especially Western culture, struggle with: death. Seeing death as a doorway, not just a dead end.
The great taboo.
Kind of. Conversations with God offers a truly radical idea here, stating that life cannot give itself to you if you do not understand death.
You need to understand death to live.
That's the assertion. It portrays death as never an end, but always a beginning. A death as a door opening, not a door closing. And the only truth, it asserts, echoing other traditions, is impermanence.
Change is the only constant.
Exactly. This isn't meant to be morbid or depressing. It's presented as a powerful reframing of death. Not as a terrifying finality, but as an integral, transformative aspect of eternal life, a continuous cycle of change, dissolution, and new beginnings.
Like seasons changing.
Maybe. It suggests that by accepting the transient nature of all things, we can more fully embrace the vitality, the preciousness of life itself.
Yeah.
It really makes you pause and think about how much fear we carry around about something that is simply a natural part of existence, isn't it?
It absolutely does. And this wisdom about embracing impermanence is echoed strongly in the Four Agreements. It suggests we actively take death itself as our teacher.
Death as a teacher, how?
It posits that the angel of death can teach us how to be truly alive. The awareness that we can die at any moment isn't meant to paralyze us with fear.
But to motivate us.
Exactly. It encourages us to use every moment to be happy, to do what we really enjoy doing. This perspective dissolves the fear of living fully. It pushes us to shed societal expectations and genuinely embrace our authentic selves, knowing that our time is finite and precious.
Live like you mean it.
Right. It's a call to profound appreciation and intentional living, leveraging the ultimate impermanence as a catalyst for a vibrant, meaningful existence right now.
And the Tibetan Book of the Dead provides a stark, yet somehow compassionate, practical reminder of this continuous flow and urgency. It states quite plainly that the body ages day by day. The lifespan is consumed moment by moment. No escaping that.
Hard truth.
Given this relentless, undeniable march of time and impermanence, it urges us. Direct your thought towards your own mind and concentrate on the sacred teachings.
Use the time wisely.
Yes, it's a call to profound mindfulness and spiritual focus. Recognizing the urgency and preciousness of our brief human existence, to engage in practices that prepare us not just for the transition of death, but maybe more importantly, for living a fully conscious life in the present moment, understanding its inherent sacredness.
Make every moment count.
So, okay, in the face of this profound impermanence, how do we find meaning? How do we engage in conscious action? What is our individual purpose if everything is always changing? And how do we reconcile the transient nature of life with a lasting sense of fulfillment?
Big questions for the end here.
The biggest, maybe.
Well, Viktor Frankl, drawing again from man's search for meaning, offers a powerful and deeply compassionate insight. He suggests that the meaning of life is helping other people find meaning in their lives.
Meaning through service.
Exactly. This is a profoundly outward-looking perspective. It shifts the focus from a self-centered search for meaning to a collaborative, altruistic one. Our individual purpose becomes inextricably linked to the well-being and spiritual growth of others.
We find meaning by giving it.
That's the idea. And he also issues that stark warning, stating that the world is in a bad condition, but it will get worse unless each of us does their best. This is a call to active, compassionate engagement, reminding us that meaning is often found in selfless contribution, in lifting others as we lift ourselves.
Taking responsibility.
Yes.
And Henry David Thoreau, in his timeless work Walden, gives us this powerful injunction to intentional living. Let us say one day as deliberately as nature and not be thrown off the track by every nutshell and mosquito's wing that falls on the rails.
Love that image. Don't get derailed by little things.
Right. He emphasized the importance of a man's soul and of today, urging us to crave only reality. This is a call to profound mindfulness and discernment, to focus on the essential and to live with an unwavering presence, unperturbed by the myriad distractions and trivialities of the modern world.
Simplify. Focus.
Exactly. It's about stripping away the inessential to reveal the true depth and purpose of existence. Cultivating an inner stillness amidst life's inevitable clamor.
For those seeking more direct guidance, perhaps, in living a life aligned with divine purpose, the Bhagavad Gita describes Vedic wisdom as providing clear directions, how such conditioned souls can return home, back to Godhead.
A roadmap back.
Pretty much. It offers a chance for liberation by following Kantan consciousness, which is presented as a path of devotional service and unwavering awareness of the divine. This presents a clear, structured, and devotional path, a set of instructions designed to guide individuals through the complexities of the material world towards spiritual freedom and ultimate union with the divine.
A defined spiritual technology.
You could say that. It offers a tangible route, a blueprint for those seeking to transcend suffering and reclaim their spiritual heritage.
And in a similar vein, though from a different tradition, The Cost of Discipleship by Dietrich Bonhoeffer speaks of the Christian's task.
Yeah.
To live out that life in terms of his secular calling.
Faith in everyday life.
Right. This isn't about retreating from the world into a monastery necessarily, but about integrating faith into every aspect of daily life, transforming the ordinary into the sacred through how you live and work.
Bringing the sacred into the mundane.
Yes. And it also speaks quite strongly of entering the visible church of the incarnate Lord as a form of assault on the world and everything that it stands for.
Assault. That sounds strong.
It is strong language. It's presented as a powerful call to active, principled discipleship, to challenge the status quo, to live a life of profound moral conviction, not by retreating from the world, but by transforming it from within through ethical and compassionate action, even when that means standing against the prevailing culture.
Living out your values robustly.
Seems so.
And finally, the Torah provides extensive commands and ordinances, mitzvot, meticulously detailing a clear and comprehensive path for living in relation to the divine.
A detailed guide for living.
It's extremely detailed. It outlines blessings for obedience and warns of consequences for disobedience, demonstrating a meticulously structured framework for moral, ethical, and spiritual conduct within a community covenant. This divinely given law serves as a direct guide, shaping both individual and communal life.
Structure and guidance.
Yes, promising a harmonious existence, a well-ordered and purposeful life, one aligned with divine will. It's a comprehensive blueprint for living justly, righteously, and in continuous awareness of the divine covenant.
Wow. What an absolutely incredible and, expansive journey we've been on today. We've truly traveled through a vast library of human wisdom, haven't we?
We really covered some ground.
Ancient scriptures, profound philosophical texts, deeply personal reflections, all in our quest to understand these deeper truths of self, reality, and the divine. It's truly remarkable how these diverse traditions, despite their distinct cultural contexts and historical paths, they consistently converge on so many core truths. Whether it's about living consciously, cultivating inner peace, embracing love as our fundamental nature, or understanding our transient yet significant place in the grand tapestry of existence. The echoes of shared wisdom are just undeniable.
It really is striking, isn't it? That profound contrast between, on the one hand, living ensnared by ego and illusion, constantly reacting, constantly trying to control an external world.
Fighting reality.
Yeah, versus the liberation that's found in recognizing the underlying unity and, yes, the impermanence of all things. It's truly striking. These sources, each in their own unique and powerful way, all seem to point towards a liberation from suffering.
A way out.
A way out that is achieved not through external manipulation, trying to force the world to be how we want it, but through an internal transformation, through awareness, compassion, and a conscious connection to something far greater than our individual isolated selves.
Fun to work.
Fundamentally, they show us that true freedom comes not from controlling the external world, but from courageously transforming our internal one.
Exactly. And so as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you, our listener, with a final, maybe provocative thought to ponder.
Something to chew on.
Definitely. Given these myriad perspectives, we've touched on the nature of reality, the pervasive influence of illusion, the eternal significance of the now, what sacred fulfillment, to borrow that beautiful phrase from Autobiography of a Yogi, what sacred fulfillment are you called to seek in your life today?
What really matters to you?
Right, and how might you consciously choose to see through it, to use that potent phrase from Conversations with God, to experience life's true beauty, beyond the veils, beyond the illusions, beyond the egoic deceptions? What veil, perhaps, are you ready to lift in your own life, starting now?